So I want to start by telling you my story about how I got depressed, how I did go on antidepressants, how I went back off of antidepressants, and then again at the end, I'm going to talk to you about if you are in a place where you are depressed right now, or you're helping organize someone who is depressed right now, 5 strategies that I use when I am working with people either virtually or in person who I know are depressed or who have told me they are depressed. So I, in the summer of 2005, lost it. Like, I just freaked out on my husband. He had to take the kids away, and I went up to the bedroom, and that's when I counted and realized I'd been to 110 school and doctor visits. I thought, well, no wonder I'm crazy. Like who can go to meetings every third day where you're deciding your child's future and what they need? Like, that is a lot on a person, right? But my business was still going great. So financially, there was no doctor too far, no school too expensive. We would just work harder. We'd already paid off both adoptions, so we were doing great. And at that time, the doctor said, you're under a lot of pressure. They were talking about an antidepressant. I was like, all right, which kid are we going to start on that? They're like, no, you need to be on an antidepressant. I was like, me? Depressed? No, I'm not depressed. They're like, well, you're under a lot of stress. It's very overwhelming. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. So I went back to work full time, fall of 2010. Well, by the spring, it was too much. Having the kids in 2 separate schools, working full time, and I was at a Montessori school, and I like to teach individually anyway, so I had individual lesson plans for everybody, and I was working till midnight and up at 5, and I need sleep. It was too much. Our kids' needs were still growing. The estate had been settled, but there was just so much going on. And I was driving to school one day, and I had a couple of people that kept saying to me, you're depressed. You need to take care of it. You're depressed. You need to take care of it. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I'm on the highway. I can't remember where I was going, but I remember exactly where I was. I thought, if I veer the car over and I hit that cement wall and I die, then I'll be out of this. Seriously. That's what I was thinking. And then I didn't do that. I thought, well, I can't do that because then Greg doesn't even know how to give the medication to the kids. Well, he would know to call this one doctor, but I don't even think he knows that Abby's seeing a new doctor yet because, the stuff with my kids changes so fast. I'm just in charge of it. If anything happens to me, he has to call the doctors and they'll explain what's going on. To this day, that's our plan. I thought, well, I can't do that because I can't leave him. So then I kept driving. I don't even remember where I was driving, but I remember thinking, well, if I just keep driving all the way to Florida, I was like, no, that won't solve your problem. Now you're in Florida, the kids are at home. You're going to have to turn around and go back. I was like, all right. So if I got all the people in the car, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm depressed. Like, I'm crazy. Like, where are these thoughts coming from? I cannot believe I'm thinking these thoughts. I can't believe I'm saying them in a podcast. But I think you get to the point where you don't even realize you're depressed. You're just so busy surviving and getting through and doing. So in the fall of 2011, I realized that I had come out the other side. Financially, we were not where we needed to be. But mentally, I had made the transition. And I'm telling you, mental happens before physical every single time. In this case, it happened about 24 months before the physical. So by the spring, I went back to school. We had pulled Joey out of his private school into the public school. I had both kids in public school to save money. I was working full time, and I knew I was through the depression. So we quickly realized Joey had to go back to private school, an expensive private school, which we could not afford. Didn't matter. We put him back in it. At the same time, I weaned myself off the Cymbalta. It was not doing anything for the migraines. I didn't start it for the migraines. Anyway, I did it because I knew I was depressed. I also knew that getting off the Cymbalta would be very, very hard. It's one of the hardest medications to get off of. So I slowly weaned my way off of it, and it took me 6 weeks. I did not do it under medical supervision. I know, terrible. At church last week, they said that 1 out of every 10 Americans is on an antidepressant. So if you are not alone. If you are thinking about it, you are not alone. If you never want to be on an antidepressant, great, you're with 90%. You're cool. I needed it, and I needed it for a short amount of time. I do not know if anybody in my extended family has ever been on an antidepressant other than me. I know that I only needed it for a short amount of time. My family genetics tend to be pretty positive. I don't really know many people in my family that have ever been depressed, and for sure not clinically depressed. If in your family you have people who are more clinically depressed, or you know people in your family who are on antidepressants, it is very hereditary. Mine was situational, okay? What if you are depressed, or what if you are working with a parent or a sibling or a spouse that is depressed? What would I say to you? Number one, give the person who is depressed, or if you are the person depressed, give yourself grace. You are a human being. No one can just go, 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 and never stop. No one. Everyone needs some kind of a break. So whether this is a lifelong condition of depression for you, and it's genetic, and it's something that you have to deal with every day, I'm so sorry. It is what it is. Or if it's seasonal, like mine was, you have to give yourself grace in order to stop, take a breath, assess the situation, and figure out where you can go forward. The second thing I would say is find a friend and get help. If what I have said is like, that is what I've been thinking, people have been telling me I need to get help and I haven't gotten help, I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm just a mom with a mic, which is probably a problem. But you need to get help. So whether that's talk therapy with a psychologist or a therapist, or trying a medication, or a best friend that comes over every day, or whatever it is, just get help for yourself, for your thoughts. But also, when you go to get organized, you're going to need help. It's going to be much, much harder if you are depressed to organize yourself if you don't have someone there with you. Number one, you'll find every excuse not to do it. And number two, just you need people. You need people around you, even if it's a good friend. And find one that's positive.